If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement, Male Advantage ebook, or my personal workout and diet plan, all links are in the bio. Okay guys, so I just briefly want to do this quick intro and then we're going to fire over to the screen. Recently I've been really thinking about learning the language. I've got a basic understanding of French and Spanish, probably Spanish more so. I did study it for like 3-4 months independently. Part of my dad's life for like 5-6 years, he lived in Barcelona, so I went out quite a bit. He's obviously died. We need to take the ashes over there when COVID kind of comes to a big end, and we can get over to Barcelona. And my sister had a baby as well, so she doesn't want to leave the baby. There's a lot of things, so we've probably got like a year, and then we'll travel over there next year. And like, he wants his ashes in the sea. There's a lot of Spanish people there, obviously his friends. I want to try and speak some level of Spanish so I can do a speech or whatnot. I think, somebody's going to have to do something or converse with them and organise the whole event. So it's something I've been looking to do. But I'm not going to crowbar it in there. If I don't have time, I've got supplements, I've got my gym stuff, etc. I've got obviously videos to make, 1STMAN stuff to do, gym vlogs, whatever. Like, if it gets too busy, I'm not going to prioritize something that's going to have zero benefit to my life. But I've entertained the idea of learning a language. Now, somebody recently called me an INTJ, INTJ, right? Which I can't remember what it means. It stands for something. It's like a black pill, red pill thing. Apart from the introvert thing, because I'm definitely an extrovert, like I can do the introvert thing. I can sit on my own for like a fucking month and work on a business, but I am more of an extrovert. I like to be out there and meeting people and, out in the world, whatever. But the planning side of things, like where everything needs a plan, yeah, that's me. Like, that's how I live, okay? I cannot just go, I'm going to learn Spanish and I have to know the benefits of it. I have to write down the pros and cons and weigh it all up. So what I've done is I've written down like the main languages that most people would want to learn. And I've kind of created like a scale. So I believe the scale's out of 40. I think the highest score is 40. There's like 4 pieces of criteria that I've used. And I'm like looking at where in the world it's spoken, like the diversity. How can that benefit you financially? Like, what women will that allow you to attract? Holidays, for example, that's the 4 criteria. And I've like brought up a map. I've brought up like all the countries that it's in. I'm going to break down which is the best language to learn across the board. So if anybody out there is thinking of learning a language, you don't have to take my advice. Of course, you never have to take my advice, but this is just something I created. You might not agree with some of the things that I've said on here. You might say, oh, I think that's a little bit higher or lower. But you can do a similar thing for yourself. But this is just my version. So we're going to bomb over to the screen now. Going to pan through this. Something completely different. Something we haven't seen on this channel before. Should be fun, guys. Okay, guys. So here we are. We're over on the PDF that I put together the other day. Best language to learn. Okay, so let's get started. Let's scroll down and let's look at Spanish. Now, you can start to see the kind of like theme that I've set up here. I wonder if I can punch in a little bit. I can. Excellent. Can I get all of this in? Yes. Okay, they fit perfectly. Fantastic. It saved me a ton of hassle. So number 1 is Spanish, guys. So we can see from the map the kind of like diversity, the areas, the regions in which Spanish is spoken. And I've got all the countries down here, and I've got the scale on the left-hand side, and the red part is the total score, okay? So let's start with number 1, which is women, which I've given them a 10 out of 10. Now, what I'm not doing on this, okay, is saying, oh, I think Spanish women are a 10 out of 10. Like, I'm not doing that. What I'm doing is saying what level of diversity is there in the women, because there's hot women everywhere, right? There's better women in certain countries, I understand that, but there's hot women everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go, you will find hot women. Now, is there a higher selection of hot women somewhere like Italy? Yeah, probably, right? Or somewhere like Colombia, whatever. Yeah, there's certain regions that have hotter women. But what I'm looking at is, if you're not into, let's say, if you're not into black women, and there's a language like, I don't know what the language would be, but let's say, a language that's only spoken in like 2 African countries, well, you'd go, well, that's got to be like even if it's the hottest countries for women, if it's like, let's say Somalia and Ethiopian women who are stunning, I still wouldn't give that a high score. I'd still have to give that like a 4 out of 10, because if you weren't into black women, then that would be pointless for you. So this is why it's an individual scale for you. Okay, if you're not into blonde women, then, you know, learning some of the Scandinavian languages might be a little bit pointless for you in that sense. That's what I'm saying, okay? But in terms of Spanish women, I've given them a 10 out of 10 because of some of the countries that are on here. Now, Spanish, Latina women, yeah, they do have similar features. But just look at this list. We've got Spanish women. The ones in red are the ones that are like notable countries, in my opinion, for one of the 4 reasons on there. Now we've got Spanish women, we've got Argentinian women, Colombian women who are obviously stunning, Costa Rica, which is more like a holiday place, but Costa Rican women, Cuban women, which are out of this world, Dominican women, which are again out of this world, Mexican women out of this world, Puerto Rican women out of this world, and Venezuela's got more Miss Worlds than anywhere else on the planet. So in terms of learning Spanish in order to get women, it has to be a 10 out of 10. Like, just look at some of the countries on there. That's an insane benefit to your life, okay? Now, financial, I've given it a 4 out of 10. I don't really think there's anywhere on there, maybe Spain, you know, Mexico, there's some decent opportunities, but I don't really see anywhere else on there that is like, it's a widespread, diverse number of countries, and maybe in the music industry, learning Spanish or something is fantastic for financials. But for everything else, I'm not sure if it gives you the greatest opportunity to increase your net worth, if you would. That's how we're kind of basing this off, like being able to do business, doing deals, whatnot, like growing economies, etc. I'm not sure if it's like the best region ever or the best language to learn for that, okay? Holidays, 9 out of 10. And we've got Spain, Dominican Republic, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Colombia. We've got Cuba, Costa Rica. Like, there's some fantastic places there. I mean, Panama, if you want to go and get stem cells and shit. My dad's been to Bolivia. He said it was lovely. So, you know, there's just multiple regions on there that you can go. So I've given it a 9 out of 10. Now, in terms of versatility, I've given it a 3 out of 10. Because although it's spoken on 3 different continents, 2 different continents? I guess that's like kind of, you could see at the base of the US there. But at the same time, you're speaking English, okay? So it's basically 2 different continents. When you think about that, it's like, yeah, it is, but it's just Spain. Okay, you got Spain and kind of Mallorca, I think, the little island like Ibiza and stuff like that. So you've got that area, but it's mainly just the Latin areas of South America. It's just South America. You know, that's 99% of where it's spoken. So in terms of versatility, I can only give it a 3 out of 10. Okay, Spanish is. I just think if it was spoken, let's say in Australia as well, and then maybe in like one part of Africa, you'd be like, okay, versatility very high, but there's not really many regions of the world where you can use it. It's just, I know South America is massive, but many of the countries there are quite similar. Okay, so there's only like really 2 places where it's spoken where the culture is slightly different. So I've given a total score of 26. Okay, so now moving on, we're going to go down to French. Let's just move this up a little. Okay, so French. We've got women, 6 out of 10. The reason I've given it a 6 out of 10 is because obviously French women are beautiful. You've got some Canadian women that are beautiful, but you could still speak English and get away with that. There's a few African regions. So in terms of, you know, and there's a South American region there. I can't figure out what that is. But you've got some, of course, in Caribbean regions as well. There's a few, isn't there? You've got a good level of diversity there. You know, obviously French women are beautiful. Some Canadian women are beautiful. Across Africa, you have so many different beautiful women. You know, Madagascar's on there. My dad knew a Madagascan woman, said she was beautiful. That's as far as that goes for me. But there's a good level of diversity there. I think that, you know, especially Caribbean women, there's so many out there. That's really going to help. In terms of financial, I've given it a 5 out of 10 because I think out of everything on this list, you've got France and Canada, and I think, you know, Belgium as well, of course Switzerland, you know, it's massive, but I think take away Switzerland and probably take away France, Canada and Switzerland. And out of all the other countries there's a lot of poor countries on there. probably with the exception of Belgium. But it's those four that are really propping it up. They're like massive banking countries, massive levels of wealth. But I've given it a 5 out of 10. Maybe I should have bumped that up to 6 out of 10. They're four pretty good countries right there. But yeah, I've given it a 5 out of 10. You can change that in your one. But I think, with Switzerland, maybe I could have bumped that up to a 6 out of 10, to be fair. But I think there's better regions out there in terms of financials. A lot of deals you can do in Switzerland. Yeah, okay, let's make that a 6 out of 10. I'll bump that up at the end, guys, okay? Now, holidays, I've given it a 6 out of 10. Reason being, you've got the Caribbean, you've got France, which, Paris alone makes that a 5 out of 10. Just such a wonderful place. And there's a few different places you can go on there, but I would say probably the Caribbean, France. Switzerland's got some beautiful places, obviously Canada is nice, but I think in terms of like typical holiday destinations, they're probably your three. And then you got versatility. Versatility, I've given it a 4 out of 10 because it is... The reason being, you've got Canada where you can speak English anyway. Then you've got a few places in Africa, and then you've got France, Belgium, Switzerland, whatever. But Belgium and Switzerland speak multiple languages anyway. So I think in terms of versatility, it's not really necessary. Like, I think, obviously, if you take away Canada, there's not a lot of versatility there anyway, and you're probably going to be speaking English in Canada anyway. That's why I've only given it 22 because of the financial being bumped up. Okay, guys. Now the next one is Mandarin. Now Mandarin, in terms of women, I've given it 5 out of 10. The reason being, obviously Asian women are beautiful. Some people will be going crazy if they love Asian women, but if you don't love Asian women, you're kind of fucked, aren't you? So that's why it's a 5 out of 10. They got the beauty, but on the other side, if not really into Asian women, then, what benefit is it to you? Financial, 10 out of 10. I mean, we all know the power of China right now. If you know how to speak Mandarin, it just gives you a giant advantage in the world, okay? And with their massive population, that's a huge advantage. Holidays, again, 5 out of 10. There's beautiful places in China. Great place to visit. If you were to travel all around China, I'm sure it'd be an experience of a lifetime. But it is only one place, okay? If you want to go somewhere else, then, Mandarin isn't really going to serve you good outside of China. And obviously, for that reason, versatility, a 1 out of 10, which leaves a final score of 21. Because we've only got China, Taiwan, and Singapore, which is, some lovely places, but it's just not going to work, okay? Now the next one is Italian. Beautiful language. Women, I've given them a 6 out of 10 just because they are so stunning. But again, in terms of diversity, it's if you like blonde women, Italy's probably not really your place. If you like black women, Italy's not really your place. So I've given them a 6 out of 10 just because they are known for their just sheer beauty. I don't know any man alive that doesn't like Italian women, so that's why. Financial, I've given it a 1 out of 10. Maybe that's a bit harsh. I should have maybe gone 2. I probably will bump that up to like a 2. But at the same time, it's just Italy. It's not a poor country, but it's not the richest country in the world. Population isn't huge, 56 million or something. There's better opportunities out there. So if you were going to learn Italian for financial purposes, I don't really see it as a major benefit to your life. Now, if you're doing business with Italian banks, something like that, then yeah, you could go ahead. If you're in the fashion industry, then maybe the financial bumps up to a 5 or a 6. But for the average person, financial is like a 1 or a 2. I don't think it's ever going to change your life financially from learning Italian. Holidays, 10 out of 10. I just think you've got everything you need. You've got Rome, you've got Milan, you've got Sicily, Naples. You've got all these different areas that you can travel around. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. You've got the Amalfi Coast. You've got Lake Como, Lake Garda. Like, you can't really beat Italy for holidays. I think it's probably the best place in the world. Versatility, 1 out of 10, because it's just Italy. Okay, so learn Italian. You're Switzerland as well, but you're mainly based in Italy. Okay, so I've given it an overall score of 18, maybe 19 if you want to bump that financial up to a 2 out of 10. Next one is Russian. Now with Russian, I've given women 6 out of 10 because they're so beautiful, and Russia is enormous, and obviously it bridges into other countries as well. I think like Belarus, we've got Kazakhstan, and I think it's Kyrgyzstan. So there's a 6 out of 10 because the women are stunning, but at the same time, if you're not into Russian women, then it can't be a 10 out of 10. Like you've got to have some level of diversity, okay? If you have a language that every woman in the world spoke, well then that's a 10 out of 10 for women in terms of that language because you have a wider pool to choose from. Financial 7 out of 10. There's a lot of money in Russia, only obviously in the upper class, but it's just such a large region and there's so many opportunities because the vast majority of Russia isn't wealthy, so I think there's a lot of opportunities to move in there. Holidays, 1 out of 10. I mean, it's not where people book to go on holiday. It's very cold, Versatility, again, 1 out of 10. It's limited to one region, a very big region, but outside of Russia, speaking Russian doesn't really help too much. Portuguese. So Portuguese was one that really shocked me. I didn't think it would rank this highly, but women, 8 out of 10. Reason being, you've got Angolan women who are absolutely stunning. You've got Brazilian women who are some of the best on the planet. Women from Cape Verde who, again, are some of the best in the planet. If you haven't seen them, search them. You've got Macau, which is on that list, which, obviously it's Asian women, so that's a different type of diversity. Obviously, they do speak Mandarin, but I believe it's Mandarin. But the language of Portuguese is recognised highly there. And you've got Portuguese women, and women who are Portuguese mixed just seem to be the most stunning on the planet from what I've seen. So for women, I've given them an 8 out of 10. Financial, 4 out of 10, mainly because of Brazil. Now, Portugal, especially Lisbon, it's become like a tech capital in terms of like a Silicon Valley type of place. They're really coming up in the world. They've had huge investment in there, but mainly for Brazil. There's massive opportunities in Brazil. It's a massively growing economy, huge population. So financial, I've bumped that up to a 4 out of 10, which, considering only 2 countries are really propping that up, that's quite special. Holidays, 8 out of 10. I mean, you've got Brazil, you've got Portugal, you've got Cape Verde. I mean, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good diverse level of regions that you could go to. So I've given them an 8 out of 10 for that. And versatility, I've said 4 out of 10, which ends up being a score of 24 overall, okay? Now the next one, which ends up being the winner, guys, which I was shocked about until I sat back and thought about it, okay? It's not a language that many people really think about learning. Most people think of like Spanish or Mandarin. I think when I finally learn a language, it's going to be Arabic. The reason being, I just think when you look at Arabic regions, you look at some of the countries on this list, you look at what cities that they would represent, okay? And you think those regions, once they get rid of their political bullshit and most of them become more like Dubai, is going to be insane. If you can travel to these regions, it's going to be nuts, okay? So women, I've given 7 out of 10 just because of the sheer diversity, guys. You've got North African women in there. You've got East African women in there, some of the most beautiful in the world. We move over to places like Dubai, which have got like the UAE, which has actually got a lot of like American women living there now. It's got a lot of British women living there now and whatever. There's like women from all around the world living there. And of course they're going to be speaking English. But I'm just saying you can live in that region and then you have, because you can speak the language, and then you have access to all of these women anyway. So, you think you've got Algerian women who are stunning. You've got Egyptian women who are stunning. You've got Moroccan women who are absolutely insane, like dark curly hair. You've got Somalian women, Eritrean women, Tunisian women. Like that's off the chart, okay? That's a huge pool of women that you can choose from. It's 7 out of 10, okay? Financial, 10 out of 10. Like I just believe if you can speak Arabic, it just opens the door to so many positives, so many new opportunities, and these regions are coming up every single year. They're getting wealthier, they're getting larger investments, like the opportunities are springing up all over the place. If you can speak Arabic, you're going to have a head start, okay? Holidays, 7 out of 10. Like I said, you've got Egypt, you've got the UAE, Qatar after the next World Cup is going to be pretty special. You've got Morocco, you've got Tunisia, which a lot of people go to. I think you've also got some regions of Turkey as well. Probably not the regions you want to go to. But I think there's some decent holidays on there that gives it a 7 out of 10. You've got Dubai, you've got Abu Dhabi. Like, there's some good places on there, guys. Now, versatility, I've given it a 6 out of 10. I know it's all located to one region, but that's a massive region. Like I said, you've got North Africa. You've got East African women on there. You've got places like Bahrain, Qatar, you've got Egypt, obviously there's massive diversity. You've got Saudi Arabia, which eventually is going to be more like Dubai. You've got the UAE in general. You've got Kuwait on there. It's like some of the richest places possible, all spread out across that whole region. The like Emirati and North African and East African regions. That's enormous, guys. That's a huge, diverse area that you can do business in, you can go on holiday in, you can date women from. So I've got to give the versatility a 6 out of 10 there, which gives an overall score of 30 out of 40. So for me, Arabic probably is the best language to learn. I've put it as my number one. I just think it's got the best future scope as well. I just think in terms of diversity across the whole boards, beautiful women, good financial prospects, holidays are pretty fantastic. Everybody seems to be traveling to these regions now. They're like the new New York and stuff like that. You've got a decent level of versatility, which is only going to get higher once they release like a lot of the political bullshit. Like I said, a lot of the rules are going to drop. And these places are going to grow with their own cultures. They're going to be completely different to how they are today. I think if you start learning Arabic now, in 10 years' time, you will not be disappointed. You might have a completely different opinion, guys. You might have a different taste in women. You might have different financial ambitions. Your holidays might be different to mine. I love city breaks, but at the same time, I just think holidays on this list are fantastic. But, Italy, probably Paris, places like that, they are my favourite, but they are just one place. Versatility, you might not actually think this is that versatile. You might think something else was okay. But this is just my list. This is what I've deemed it down to, and I just personally think Arabic is probably the best language that you can learn. If you want to grab our men's lifestyle supplement, Male Advantage ebook, or my personal workout and diet plan, all links are in the bio.